She's worked in specialist behaviour education for over 15 years, has taught us a whole range of different kind of school provisions and so on. Lindsay, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Look, I'm really good. What do you make of this idea of suspensions, if they can be, being facilitated in school rather than at home or wherever?
Well, an internal suspension isn't a new concept. It's something that is used quite regularly already. So the great thing about it is the fact that this topic has now been raised for discussion.
Is it more effective, do you think, an internal one?
Well, I think we're faced with a different type of problem these days in the sense that if you send a kid home, they can access all sorts of things. Parents might be at work, can't keep an eye on them. If they're being suspended, there tends to be underlying reasons. So are you just pushing them further into the clutches of whatever it is that the problem is?
I think what's driving this is interesting you say that I think one of the things the government's worried about is that the kids, as you say, maybe the parents, quite rightly, have got to go to work, the kids at home on social media, nobody to kind of monitor or regulate that in any way. And as you say, maybe it just makes the whole thing worse. Yeah,
and like I say, it's great that by the government raising this, it's made it a discussion, because really the problem is deeper than the suspension itself.
In what way?
Just the way that children's behaviour is presenting has changed a lot in the last 5 years. I think COVID definitely changed the kind of landscape that the students are navigating and the ways that they do it. And a lot of them are so connected to their phone, to social media, to like a digital world, that we're seeing the impact of that in the classroom.
There's a lot to unpack there. So, you've been at this for a long time. Give me an idea of the kind of, negative behaviours that kids are expressing now that they didn't do 5-6 years ago.
I would say that they're just really disillusioned with their future and their opportunities. That's the biggest change that I've definitely witnessed.
How do you combat that?
Well, it's trying to make the lessons relevant to context, discover what their passions might be and try and relate the classroom to those things, and just make them kind of understand what their pathway is, what their options actually are.
Looking into, I think you and I might have mentioned this, talked about this before. I can't remember if it was on air or just having a chat. And the basic truth is that some kids do not thrive at school. Full stop.
Yeah, totally.
So when you are presented with a child who's not been successful at school, been suspended and stuff, and in a sense, of course, at that point they're getting the highest grade education. It's essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, essentially one-on-one for a while.
Yeah, they do. So in an alternative education provision, the class sizes tend to be a lot smaller, and the intervention is more closely monitored and delivered. And you're right, there's a lot of kids out there that aren't interested in progressing their education and going to college. They just want to go to work. But we now have to keep students till they're 18, and that really doesn't suit a lot of them.
When you get a kid that comes into one of your classes, first time you've met them, how do you get through to them?
I always say humour. You've got to stop taking yourself so seriously and kind of get down to their level, find out what their barriers have been, have a giggle with them. A lot of the time we're finding their mental health needs looking at first before they're in any position to learn.
Look, you and I have known each other. We've interviewed, for 10 years, I should think, or something like that. I can't think of anybody better to do the job you do, because you're an absolutely brilliant person. It's something I put to Mr. T earlier on. What do parents think? The kids have for whatever reason have gone into alternative provision. What do they make it? Are they supportive, or are they just sort them out because I've had enough? Where is it?
There's a real mixed bag. Sometimes you find that the parents themselves have had a really poor experience. They haven't been supported. They haven't got the skills. So they're just as lost as the student. A lot of them want the best for their child, but they don't know how to achieve it. And then there seems to be a disconnect between the provisions as well. The last thing I want to do is kind of point the finger or demonise any one group. But parents, young people, teachers, the units, we all need to work together, for the bigger picture.
And I think, it's a partnership thing, I suppose, what you're talking about there. When those kids come to you, do they go back into mainstream education? How does that work? I mean, does it always work out, or are some children just they're really troubled?
Yeah, I mean, so each child's different in terms of the ones that get referred to us. Some know they're on the track to get reintegrated into mainstream, and they really want to do that as well. Some are completely unmotivated, and it's just about trying to get them any qualification that we can get them and try to keep them on a set path as they move forward. I mean, ideally, you get to know the child and what it is they want to achieve. What is their bigger picture, and then what steps can we take to bridge that gap and to get them there? I mean, I always say that reading, I'm not saying you've got to sit down and read a novel, but if you can read to a decent standard, you'll be able to teach yourself whatever it is you're interested in. You've heard the saying, education's wasted on the young. It's like, their maturity levels sometimes just aren't there to cope with the decisions they've got to make at such a young age.
It's the trouble is, it's that message, isn't it? And you say this to a 12, 30, 40, 15-year-old, and they're like, yeah, all right, Granddad. But it's kind of like, it's the thing, if you can read for a bit, you can do some sums for a bit, you don't know what that might help you doing in 10 years' time. Yeah,
I mean, I'm big on those core skills. So I'm always like, time, money, the basic 4 functions of adding, take away, reading. So I just try to make them understand the benefit of those skills, which can be quite hard when the curriculum doesn't always match up, because some of the skills on the curriculum don't necessarily feel very relevant to everyday life these days.
Lindsay, thank you. I have a feeling we'll talk more about this. I can't think of a better person to be doing the job you're doing. You love it, don't you?
Do you know what? I'm really passionate about helping anybody reach their full potential, or at least believe they can reach their full potential. So in whatever capacity that presents itself, I'm there for it.
Listen, it's always great to have you on. Last time we spoke, it was about you converted your bus into a reading bus, essentially, and you've gone all around festivals and all sorts of stuff. It's great to talk to you, Lindsay. Have a great weekend.
Thank you very much. Take care.
She's absolutely brilliant, isn't she? Lindsay Hargreave, with her thoughts on it. What do you reckon? Are you happy for schools to get involved with disciplining your child? Do you support them in it? Or are you like, hang on a minute, nobody's disciplining my child except for me?